like we didn't believe them because of the money that was involved in the Kirk Cousins situation. And then they were so quick to turn away from him, even though you had a first rounder waiting on the bench. And you know that always happens. But for the money, it was just a very unique situation in Atlanta. So, Kyle, what do you make of the Steelers quarterback situation at this point? Because we know that Mike Tomlin does not like to deal in hypotheticals, but it feels like their quarterback room is one giant hypothetical right now.
They're getting somebody. Listen, you can't start the season with that room. Mason Rudolph is an old friend. He's been around. He went away. He came back. I get it. We all like Will Howard, but he's not starting week one. And that's this question. The Steelers, who are in the playoffs virtually every year, who is their quarterback in the first snap of the season when they come out to play? I feel like the fact that they went into the draft and did not draft someone to start in any of the first few rounds means you can't start a season with that room. And I mean, respectfully to those guys, the Steelers are trying to win the AFC this year. Like, that's the goal. So the Cousins thing is interesting. I never thought Cousins was going to go to Cleveland. I still don't think he's going to go to Cleveland because he gets to basically decide with his do not trade. And then there's obviously the Rodgers thing. The last time we heard from Rodgers, really the only time we heard from him, he was talking to McAfee, and he was just emotional and a little bit scattered and all over the place, and citing things like personal life and inner circle and going through a lot. So respectfully, that sounded like kind of a mess. I think either the Steelers know that eventually Rodgers is going to get there, or they do have something in the works with someone like Cousins. But you can't tell me they don't have a plan and they don't have some sort of ace in the hole, because Mike Tomlin, he's played with a lot of quarterbacks. I don't think the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers are going to say to their fan base or their locker room, guys, none of that stuff worked out. We will rally behind Mason Rudolph. Everybody in that organization knows what Mason Rudolph is and isn't. He's a backup quarterback. I think they have a plan, and I think either they know Rodgers is coming or they're working on something else, because they didn't do anything in the draft to suggest we're going to get a quarterback for this season.
Yeah, they didn't do anything in the draft, KB, and I think there were two teams that after their first round, it revealed their quarterback plan, at least how they see their quarterback situation. It was the Cleveland Browns, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you can look at the three quarterbacks that they have on that roster. We saw it: Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, Will Howard. I like to speak on Will Howard a little bit. If he is, like how you mentioned, KB, if he is your starter on day one, I think that Will Howard is in a pretty good situation. You think about Arthur Smith and his scheme. It's a run-first, run-heavy approach. For a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, that gives you time to kind of develop. That gives you time to kind of get comfortable in this NFL game. Hand the ball off to your running back, and then play action pass. You can find George Pickens or DK Metcalf or Pat Fryermuth in the flat, whatever you need to do. And I watched this national championship, and yes, I didn't like what he was doing, but look, play action pass, find a deep over route. Play action pass, find the guys in the flat. I thought that he was very, very good at knowing when to scramble and when not to. When to scramble to make a run and when to scramble to make a pass. He did it the whole entire first half against Notre Dame. And I think that if he is your starter, Pittsburgh Steelers, on day one, I think you have a good chance of taking this thing to places that it hasn't been in a while, just because of his skill set, but then also because he's coming from Ohio State, who just won the national championship, and they know something about winning, and I think that can lead over and bleed over into the rest of your locker room.
So dramatic.
This one hurts my soul, and I say that because I'm a Mike Tomlin guy. I love Mike Tomlin. I love what he does. I think there's no better coach in the NFL that does more with their talent and the presumption that the media has for expectations, right? But this feels like a revolving door. The last 5 seasons, we've been talking about the Steelers' problems with quarterback. How can they get over the hump? How can they actually win some playoff games now? And it feels like, to me, they're almost wasting the prime of T.J. Watt. You're wasting the extensive elite plays of Cam Hayward, who's a guy who's aging up now. Minkah Fitzpatrick, you got these stars at the defensive level. And I'll tell you what, man, the Aaron Rodgers situation feels like, you go to the dance with a girl. She's super hot. Yeah. Now you had some options. They were stable. You get some nods. Mental, that's a good-looking girl you got. She's stable with peace of mind, but you want the hot smoke. But the hot smoke don't even want to go to the dance. You don't even know if she wants to be at the dance. Yeah. And that's how this whole Aaron Rodgers situation feels like to me. And he's worthy of it. First ballot Hall of Famer. He has the right to say, and he told them straight up, I don't know if I want to play.
So he's just playing hard to get. He's the hot girl that's playing hard to get.
Does he want to get got? That's my whole question around this segment, and that's what leads me to believe that this is just a disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. You pay DK Metcalf $30 million a year, and DK Metcalf does not want Mason Rudolph or Will Howard throwing him the football, I promise you.
Well, they do, to your point, Chase, they do have a lot of weapons defensively. They also have weapons offensively, and it reminds me of the Cleveland Browns. Like, how many times have they had a stout defense with Myles Garrett, and you got Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, and they've been one of the best defenses not only in the AFC North, but in the entire NFL. But they don't have the one piece, and that's the quarterback. And everybody has said on this show, and I've heard so many head coaches say, if you don't have a quarterback, you have no chance. So that is why the quarterback is the one that always wins the MVP, because he's the one that if you don't have one, you're not even going to get to the dance. So for the Pittsburgh Steelers, again, Will Howard, in my opinion, gives you that chance to at least be able to compete at a level that puts the Pittsburgh Steelers in a different light. Now, the only question I have for Will Howard is, I did mention George Pickens and DK Metcalf. There are two big personalities on and off the field. How are you going to be able to handle that when they don't get the ball and they show that displeasure in not getting the ball? So that's the only thing, that's the only question and concern I have for Will Howard. But other than that, I think in the Arthur Smith scheme, he'll be just fine.
Well, man, I like Will Howard, too. And we liked him and a lot of what he stands for. It would be exceptionally rare for a sixth-round rookie to come in and start. Exceptionally rare. That doesn't happen. I mean, I believe Gardner Minshew might fit that profile. He started some, but you're going to go to Will Howard and say, welcome to the league. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're the bedrock of this organization and this entire league. Welcome. You have Pickens over there and DK over there, and if you go one series without getting in the ball, they're going to scream on the side. I mean, that's a tough ask for a rookie who already has a lot of work to do to acclimate to be a pro. I like him. He's tough. Like, I don't think that's a viable plan because it's the Steelers. Like, we don't do 6-11 seasons. We don't do starter seasons. We go to the playoffs every year. I like Howard as a project, but I still think they have a plan. They're revealing. They either have an insurance thing where they have an understanding with Rodgers. I mean, we could bring up all the Will Howard highlights we want. That is an unbelievable ask. And by the way, also Will Howard, you're going to play against Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and whoever the hell the Cleveland Browns cough up. That should be the debate. Who has the weirder quarterback room on April 29th, the Browns or the Steelers? I think it might actually be the Browns, but we're talking Steelers now. They have to have a plan, an ace in the hole that they're going to reveal. You can't throw Will Howard to the Wolves. I like him too, but that's impossible. You can't. That's too much of an ask.
Jersey numbers. Warren Moon graciously unretired his number for Cam Ward to wear. But then we have Giants top pick Abdul Carter, who asked Lawrence Taylor if he would do the same. Now, mind you, Abdul Carter was tweeting 56 all over the place. He's been kind of laying the groundwork for this moment. And LT said, no. Big deal or no big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal.
No?
I don't think it's a big deal that LT said no. I mean, it's his number. It's 56. Quick story. When I was with the Chicago Bears my last year, the Chicago Bears, KB, you know this, they retired almost every number a linebacker can have. Yeah. So I was really close with Pop Buckus, Dick Buckus. And I asked him, I was like, hey, Pop, you think I can have 51? He was like, no. I was like, all right, cool. That's totally fine with me. But I think it's a big deal in all the right ways for Abdul Carter to ask. If I am Joe Shane, I am so happy that my first-round pick wants to wear that 56. That just goes to show that my first-round pick isn't afraid of the expectation. He isn't afraid of that smoke. Matter of fact, he's embracing it. He's saying, let me wear the most iconic number for this franchise in 56, and let me go ask the man himself. So if I am the Giants, I am so happy. I am so excited that this guy wants all of that, because the Giants need somebody to say, hey, I am him. And Abdul Carter, basically in this attempt to get the number 56, is saying, hey, I am him, I am that guy, and I'm excited to take this thing over. So it's not a big deal that LT said no, but it is a big deal in all the right ways for the Giants that Abdul Carter wants that number.
And to your point, Manti, I completely agree. I really like the idea of Abdul Carter going to Lawrence Taylor, asking for the number, embracing that pressure, really wanting it on his shoulders. But let's be honest here now. No big deal. LT's 1-1. You talk about the GOAT of all defensive players. 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He got his first one his rookie year. I mean, you got a guy that got drafted by the Giants and took them all the way to the Super Bowl, to the promised land, and won that. And he got the 6 for 6. First 6 years, first 6 team All-Pros. To me, the Giants, 56 shouldn't even be allowed to be worn ever again. It should be framed up in the building in MetLife, never to be touched. He's immortalized in my opinion.
Only talked about in like a hushed tone.
Yeah.
Yes. I look at this as a huge deal in the sense that Lawrence Taylor saying no saved Abdul Carter from making a terrible mistake. Dude, Abdul, I love you. I'm a huge fan of yours. You're going to make great plays in the league. You don't want to wear 56 for a bunch of reasons. One, I think the fan base will immediately be out on it, especially the old heads. That's LT's number. You don't touch it. Two, dude, you could be a first ballot Hall of Famer and you still wouldn't be Lawrence Taylor. He is arguably the greatest football player at every position ever. It's like him and Brady and Rice and Reggie. That's the entire list. And 56 is iconic. Understand this. I like what Warren Moon did. It's a really cool thing. Maybe a little easier for him because Warren Moon was never really a Titan. So he hands the number to Cam Ward, and that's great. Warren Moon was not Lawrence Taylor. He wasn't even close, and he's a Hall of Famer. No one is Lawrence Taylor. Do you know how special this is? I'll give you an example off the field. When they make football movies, they always make the badass linebacker 56. Alvin Mack in the program is 56 because of Lawrence Taylor. John Favreau in The Replacements is 56 because of Lawrence Taylor. It's like 23 for basketball or 21 for the fast guys. It's just an iconic representation of the baddest, scariest dude on the field. 56 scares people because they think about that guy, Lawrence Taylor. So, Abdul, I appreciate the ambition, but you want to leave that alone. That's sacred. A, I don't think it would resonate well with the fan base. B, no matter what you do, you wouldn't live up to it. You have a really cool thing coming from Penn State where you have number 11. Google tells me 11 is available on the New York Giants. Now, it was Phil Simms' number, but that's totally different. You're a different position, a different everything. I would go and try to get 11 because 56, you don't want that. You don't need that. It's put away. It's to your point, I don't even like seeing linebackers on other teams wear 56, let alone on the Giants.
Now, here's a look at the wide receivers on the roster, and it is questionable depth behind CeeDee Lamb. They did have a shot to draft Matthew Golden, but they opted instead for an offensive lineman in that first round. So is it a big deal or not that Dallas did not draft a wide receiver?
Colleen, it's a huge deal that they didn't draft a wide receiver. And you said that the depth behind CeeDee Lamb. I'm more concerned about the guy next to CeeDee Lamb because we talked about it in the show back in November. I talked about CeeDee Lamb is at his best when he has a really good number 2 receiver. He had it in Brandon Cooks. And I thought that they really had a good shot at Matthew Golden. But here is CeeDee Lamb's production with or without Brandon Cooks. Obviously, 8 games to 7 games. You look at the targets. He's getting more targets without Brandon Cooks, obviously, because he's their only receiver, which is the situation here. Now, the yards per game, it's different. You would think that he would have more yards with more targets. No, with less targets, he has more receptions, he has more yards, and he has more touchdowns. So the best version of CeeDee Lamb comes when you have a number 2 wide receiver that can take the top of the defenses, which Brandon Cooks did, and which Matthew Golden did for Texas. He was their vertical threat. And I thought that by pairing those 2 guys together, you would get the offense that you've always wanted for the Dallas Cowboys. So I thought it was a big deal that they didn't draft a wide receiver at all in this draft.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, Manti, it's definitely also about CeeDee Lamb. More importantly for me, it's about Dak Prescott. You talk about Dak Prescott last year, had an injured season, played 8 games. He finished in 29th in QBR. And we all know when the football season comes around, we're going to talk about 3 players for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Michael Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. Jerry. I think Jerry's got to stop this main character syndrome, acting like he knows every single perfect move. You got to help your quarterback out. You paid him all this money. You made him the highest paid quarterback. Now he just got jumped in the market, but you made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And he's coming off of an injured season, a significant injury that made him lose time. And now you don't even get him some more help to have somebody to throw the football to. In half of his games, he threw for 1 or less touchdowns. And I think that's a contribution to obviously not having another second option next to CeeDee Lamb.
Chase, I can't imagine a world where Jerry Jones is not a main character or the main character. Kyle, am I crazy here?
Well, it's a good question, Colleen, and I'm trying to get to a place where I'm trying to wrap my arms around this modest, practical, dare I say, boring version of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't recognize them, but I'm going to say it's not a big deal because it's almost like they're forging this new identity. They have maybe the most underrated, under the radar, boring, not move the needle coaching hire in the last 20 years, Brian Schottenheimer. Maybe he'll do well. And then you show up at the draft and you're like, here we go. Number 12, Shadur is there. This guy's there. That guy's there. And they take a guard. It's like they're not only kind of struggling in the East right now, they're probably the least interesting team of the four. And when have you ever said that? They're probably the most boring team of the four. But they've tried fireworks and spice and splash for 25 years. It never works. Maybe they're growing up and doing something a little more prudent instead of saying, like, maybe we don't like the wide receivers, but we'll do it anyway because we're the Cowboys and they'll sell jerseys. Let's just get a guard. Let's put him in front of Dak. Let's give him some more time and let's go to work. It's not fun. It's not moving the needle. This segment alone is dying on a vine right now. But I'm telling you, maybe it's different. Because everything the Cowboys else tries, it's never working. So maybe they're just going boring, practical, prudent. I'm bored right now talking about them, but we'll see if it works this fall.
Nailed it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Because I'm sitting here thinking of maybe free agents that are available. They're still floating around out there. Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I mean, he was there before, but this doesn't really move the needle at all, Kyle. So we'll have to see. Chase?
I got something to say.
Okay,
KB,
what's up?
you hit it on the point.
Yeah.
It is boring, but let me tell you something, Cowboy Nation. You're one injury away from that offense starving.
And we are going to start with most likely to succeed in year one of all the rookies we saw in Green Bay. Who do you think, Chase?
Give me Travis Hunter, the unicorn. And Travis Hunter, to me, was already the best football player coming out in this draft. He does everything and so many things so well. I think he has the best ball skills I've seen coming out of the NFL, in the college football, probably in the last 5-10 seasons. But this, to me, is more about Liam Cohen, actually. I had personal experience with Liam down in Tampa last season. He's an offensive guru, offensive genius. And he's going to utilize Travis Hunter in so many ways on the offensive side of the football. But more importantly, Travis coming into that situation with Brian Thomas Jr. across from him is going to allow him to always see the cornerback's second best defensive player. So the cornerback number one is going to be guarding Brian Thomas. He's going to take most of the attention. Travis Hunter is going to have a crazy matchup. He's going to be a matchup nightmare. I want to point out something else as well. With his dynamic ability of catching the football and running after the catch, I believe Liam Cohen is going to use him a lot in the slot. My good friend, CG, Chris Godwin, shout out to your brother, before he got injured, he was at 579 yards in 7 games. And I think Travis Hunter is going to have a big-time season. I think he's going to really revolutionize and bring Trevor Lawrence back to his glory days.
I like that. I like Travis Hunter. I like how you called him the unicorn, which everybody's been calling him. The reason why I have the guy that I have, his name is Malachi Starks, a safety out of Georgia, drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why I think that he's most likely to succeed is because he doesn't have to be a unicorn. He doesn't have to be a franchise-changing player. He just can be Malachi Starks. He can be the ball hawk. Now, when you are drafted into the NFL and you are a rookie, the best thing you can have is a mentor. In a perfect world, your mentor is in the same position group as you. And guess who he's playing alongside? Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is one of the best safeties in the game. He's one of the most cerebral. He's a guy that they had to take from playing close to the line of scrimmage, doing a lot of Troy Polamalu type plays, but then they had to put him in a deep third to kind of shore everything up for that defense. We saw the difference in the Baltimore Ravens defense when they did move him. Now you have Malachi Starks. A lot like Ed Reed. He can play from sideline to sideline. He's very instinctual. He can come up in the run game if you need him to, but that allows the Ravens to take Kyle Hamilton and use him the way that he wants to be that they want to use him, which is close to the line of scrimmage, disguising, coming off the edge on blitzes. So I really think that Malachi Starks is set up the best to succeed in this class because he's surrounded by guys like Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, guys that are vocal. He doesn't have to take on so much responsibility. And again, he doesn't have to be the unicorn. Malachi Starks, you don't got to be a unicorn. Just be Malachi Starks and you'll be just fine.
It's pretty cool, and he'll get to go against Pickens and DK in that first Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. I'm going to go with the deep cut for me, guys. I don't even know if you've heard of this. You got a load of this Cam Scattaboo guy. I'm all in on him. I think he's in a great position to succeed. He is in the position which is about 5 minutes down the road from me. That is number 4 in your program for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Number 1 in your heart. Maybe number 3 on the Giants depth chart. But Brian Daboll is going to run the ball. I don't know if the Giants have the firepower to compete with Philadelphia or even Washington. They got a deep running back room. They got new quarterbacks, and they have a new beginning and a new organization now that they drafted number 4 from Arizona State. Cam Scattaboo, most likely to succeed. Future president, if you ask me, I'm into it.
KB, I got a quick question. I know your love for Cam Scattaboo. If Cam Scattaboo asked LT for 56, what would you say?
LT wishes that he could go back to his career and wear 4 for Scattaboo. Like he wants the time machine so he can honor Scattaboo. That's the answer. It's a great question, though.
He said he's been doubted his entire life, but not by Kyle Brandt. Unfortunately, he did not meet Kyle Brandt earlier in his life. But yeah, he'll be playing with that chip on his shoulder. Okay. Ian Rapoport tweeting that the Niners and star tight end George Kittle have agreed to a new contract extension, making him the highest paid tight end in the league, because that's what happens with these things. The extension is for 4 years, worth more than $78 million. So at this point, that feels like Brock Purdy will be the next shoe to drop. But Kyle, what do you think of Kittle's new deal?
Well, obviously, I'm happy for him. I like where the Niners are going, but I just think right now, as we're still in the week after the draft, we have to sit here and really put it through the lens of the NFL draft. I want everyone to remember that George Kittle, who's now 31, who just signed a massive extension and will one day retire as an all-time great 49er, was a 5th-round pick in the 2017 draft. George Kittle was the 9th tight end selected. There was no conversation about him. The draft that year for the Niners was all about Reuben Foster and Solomon Thomas. And then they grabbed this guy as an afterthought in the 5th round. No one cared. No one was terribly interested in Niners fans. And this is how it works now. We're about 9 years later, and he is a household name. He is a star. He has a massive contract. Guys, I even went back and looked. I looked at the Bleacher Report review of this draft, and they gave the Kittle pick a B+. He's raw. He's not the best route runner, but his combination of speed, blah, blah, blah. I just want you to understand that the fact that George Kittle is now where he is from where he started, it would be like in this year's draft, pick 163, Mitchell Evans, tight end from Notre Dame, 9 years from now is a massive star who's in Marvel commercials and has huge deals. Like, you don't think about these types of guys after the draft. You didn't think about Kittle after his draft. It was all like, wow, the Bears really drafted Trubisky and the Chiefs moved for Patrick Mahomes from Texas Tech. What? And then here we are, and the Niners have Kittle. I know Kittle a little bit personally, is one of my favorite athletes I have ever met. He is fun. He is contagious. All his energy, it is the real deal. And he is really, in a lot of ways, the face of the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm very happy for him and happy for them. But don't forget, kids, it's not when you get drafted. It is what you do when you get there, and Kittle is living proof of that.
Yeah, it's not a matter of when you get drafted, but it also matters where you get drafted. So, again, guys, this is a perfect fit. That guy deserves everything that's coming from him. He deserves every penny because he's one of those cultural pieces for the San Francisco 49ers ever since he got there. Not only his yards after catch ability, but his just energy, his smiling. How many times have we seen this guy pancake a D lineman or pancake a running back? And then he's on his back with a smile on his face in the middle of a 60-minute football game. You just watch how he plays this game. To all the young people out there that want to play in the National Football League as a tight end, watch George Kittle. And if you watch him and if you can duplicate him just a little bit, you may just get this type of payday. So, again, to Kyle's point, it's not about when you go, it's about where you go. And what a great fit George Kittle has been for the San Francisco 49ers.
Man, Tom, I'm right with you. Man, Tom, I'm right.
Wait, hold on. You're waiting for your single, which is honestly such an MJD thing to do. I don't know if you've been watching Maurice Jones-Drew. His school of broadcasting, he likes to call for his single, and I love that for you.
Oh, my gosh. First time speaking, first butter. Let's get it going. Man, Ty, I'm right with you guys. Big time culture fit. I really love this as an organizational move. You got a first-class organization with the San Francisco 49ers making a first-class move. This all but secures George Kittle as retiring in the gold and red. He literally is the epitome of what it means to be a 49er. You talk about his energy, the way he just epitomizes what it means to be a 49er, blocking guys, physicality, and this also obviously is going to have to be a big-time a big-time priority of really signing Brock Purdy and making sure that he gets tied up for the long term.
Yeah, he's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. It's kind of crazy. In just 8 seasons, he's third all-time in career receiving yards, third in career receptions, 8th in career touchdown receptions, just in terms of franchise history there. And there have been so many incredible pass catchers to go through that organization. Even tight ends, you think about Vernon Davis, too. I mean, he was just such an icon at that time. So congratulations to Kittle for getting the bag. That's great. Now we can't wait to see what happens with Brock Purdy, right, with the 49ers and George Kittle getting paid. But what do we think this means for Brock Purdy and his contract extension? Kyle?
Listen, Mike just said it. It's happening. There's no like sort of nuclear option where some reason the Niners decide to go away from Brock Purdy. He's there. He's signed. And like, it's not only getting him there. They've had the luxury for the last few years, right, of having the dirt cheapest quarterback in the league. And it's been great. And they unfortunately did not win a Super Bowl. But you can't have it when you finally pay Brock Purdy that there's nobody left. And he can't do the things he did before you paid him. So he's going to get in that huddle, and he's not going to have Debo. But he's going to have Kittle, he's going to have McCaffrey, he's going to have most of the guys that he's been there with. It's a new reality for the Niners. You had opportunities to win the Super Bowl with the cheap quarterback. You came really close and didn't do it. So now they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way like everybody else. Most of these teams you're seeing, Mahomes, the Eagles, they get there and they win with an expensive quarterback. They can too. I just like the fact that Kittle will be there and it'll help them because I don't want to see Kittle in another uniform. I don't want to see him leaving, and he won't be now.
Well, you talked about who was there and who wasn't there, and the facts are for the 49ers, Debo wasn't there a lot of the year for some time in the year. Christian McCaffrey wasn't there for a majority of the year. Brandon Ayuk wasn't there for a majority of the year. You know who was there for Brock Purdy? George Kittle. And that's why he has the contract that he has, and that's what we're anticipating that where the 49ers go from here on out with Brock Purdy is going to be similar to what they're trying to do with George Kittle. A few weeks ago, I made a comparison between Joanna Gaines and the San Francisco 49ers, and they ripped this thing down to the studs and got rid of a lot of people. Well, guys like George Kittle and Brock Purdy, screw the studs, guys. These are foundational pieces, all right? This is the concrete foundation of the San Francisco 49ers, hence the price tag that they have. And Brock Purdy continues to demonstrate that even though he was Mr. Irrelevant a few years ago, he's very much relevant in the National Football League today. So I'm looking at the 49ers, and I'm expecting that Brock Purdy deal to be done pretty soon. Yeah, and I agree with that. Listen here. George Kittle, he's a necessity for the 49ers to go ahead, sign Brock Purdy, and give him the highest chance of success in that offense. When you look at a Kyle Shanahan offense, and you look at what George Kittle has meant to it, you look at what he's done for the 49ers, it's really more importantly, though, in the run game. You talk about a guy that you line him up on a 6-tech, meaning a defensive end, head up right on him. It opens holes for Christian McCaffrey. It opens holes in running lanes for the 49ers, which really benefits Kyle Shanahan's play-action system. And George Kittle is one of the most important pieces, probably, if not, the most important piece not named Christian McCaffrey when it comes to really setting up that success for the Kyle Shanahan offense. This is something that had to happen. I wonder what Brock Purdy's number is going to be.
Same.
Because, again, you paid George Kittle a lot of this money. You just signed Christian McCaffrey to an extension. I know Ayuk might not be there till later in the season, but he did get paid a massive extension. So I really do wonder what the 49ers are going to pay that sweet spot to Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Enough! I am obsessed with that soundbite. I love it. That sounds like a guy who he did not voice his frustration until that very moment, and then it all just came out at once. So, Kyle, what do you think of Brandon Beane's defense of the draft?
It's amusing to me. And I respect it, really. I usually don't like people going after media members like that, but I can feel Beane, and it's just like, I don't even like people questioning my fantasy draft. That irritates me. And he just did the real thing. Imagine it's so much work and energy and investment and phone calls and research and film, and and you do it and you feel pretty pleased about what you did, and you got to go on this conference call and they're just picking it apart and picking it apart. And I think he walked the line between respectful and disrespectful pretty closely. But I feel like every GM should have one moment like that a year where you're just like, do you know what it's like to be me trying to talk to you guys? I thought it was very entertaining, and I'm sure they'll mend fences between the people he talked to. But in the meantime, like, he's right, too. He's like, I got a pretty good roster, and I always have built one since I've been here.
Yeah, he has a pretty good roster, KB, and he also has a really good offense. Just to go over the 2024 Buffalo Bills offense and what they did. They're the first team in the Super Bowl era to score more than 30 passing TDs and 30 rushing TDs. They had 30 passing TDs last year and 32 rushing TDs. They went 12 games where they scored 30 or more points, 8 of which were consecutive. That's tied for the most in NFL history. And then we all saw the game over here right across the street with the LA Rams, where Josh Allen hit. This is his stat line. It is ridiculous. 22 for 37, 342 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns with 82 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. The man scored 6 touchdowns, and they still lost. So there's all of these questions about why didn't you draft this? They need help, okay? And it's not on the offensive side of the ball because obviously Josh Allen won the MVP last year, so they're doing a lot of good stuff. So, guys, I know we know Mean Joe Green. I think we got Mean Brandon Bean because he's all about that smoke, boys.
I hear that, man. And talk your talk, Mr. Bean. Really, talk your talk. All Mr. Bean has done, Brandon Bean, is build a team foundationally that's won 5 straight AFC East divisional titles. And I think his comments were more importantly in his confidence with Josh Allen. He's got Superman at quarterback back there. And, you know, the question that the media had last year was Josh Allen lost his number one weapon. What's going to happen with the Buffalo Bills offense? And all he does is follow it up with an MVP season. So I'm all the way on Brandon Bean's side. And, you know, I think that the Buffalo Bills, they're going to be just fine on the offense side of the ball. Josh Allen is going to have to carry the load again. Hopefully they figure something out with James Cook, get him paid. Running backs got to get paid. They're important, too. And I believe that they'll be fine.
You know what, though? It is a tough job being a GM when everyone is watching your every single move and then grading you afterwards, as Kyle loves those draft grades. Okay, 3rd down, Bears head coach Ben Johnson. He hopes the draft enables Chicago to have an increase in competition for roster spots, and he doesn't want players to assume any starting job is locked up right now.
There is no depth chart right now. If you want to play, you got to go earn it. If you want a role, you got to go earn it. They know that. So we were very straightforward and honest with them when they came into the building. I think all we did this weekend was we might have just turned up the notch, just a couple of dials for certain people in the building. So that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. That's where you bring out the best, not only in your team, but in each individual.
So they're turning up the heat in Chicago. Kyle, what do you think about the new culture that they're building?
Well, the soundbite in particular, it's fine. You know, there's no depth chart. Like, it's a little bit high school. It's fine. I don't care. I'm not belittling it. It's just like it's back to basics. That's what the coach says is like, there's no position is safe. You know, like that's a classic thing to say. But we're talking about a team. They lost 10 in a row. 10 straight games last year. And most of the people in that building with Ben Johnson were on that team. So I've always liked Ben Johnson because I get vibes from him, and I mean this respectfully in the sense when he's at work, he's kind of like a football jerk. Like he's not the nicest, warmest guy, and that is exactly what I think the Bears need. I met Matt Eberflus. He was an unbelievably nice guy, like crazy nice. It was like a Flanders type situation. I want someone who is a little bit hard-edged, who in his introductory press conference calls out Matt LaFleur gratuitously, or now is saying, yeah, I don't care who you are, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, all these guys who've been in the league, show me something. I wasn't here last year when you guys lost 10 in a row. I was over with the Lions beating everybody. So I like this. It's a start. I need a lot more of this, but it's a start.
It's a start, and honestly, as a former player, we've all had those coaches that came in there on day one and try to implement their culture. And, you know, to me, it's just regular head coach talk. That's all that it is. Because when he talked about there is no depth chart, coach, there's a depth chart. Caleb Williams is your starting quarterback. I don't care what he's. Yeah. Caleb Williams is your starting quarterback. DJ Moore is your wide receiver 1. Your secondary is one of the best secondaries in the NFL with Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker. That would be your secondary. Now, there are there are positions that are up for debate. There are positions that people are vying for. But at the end of the day, Coach, I get what you're trying to do. I get what you're trying to say. And you have to say that. But guys in that locker room understand that, yeah, Caleb Williams is our quarterback, no matter who you bring in here. So I get it. However, let's be real.
You know what?
I think the number one thing is we really got guys that fit the brand of who we're going to be. And that was something that we talked about, even starting in free agency to the draft. And we're very intentional about guys who want to be a part of this organization.
What is that brand that you're trying to establish?
Tough, physical, violent, aggressive, a resilient attitude. That we continue to get guys like that, I mean, you'll start to see the brand show up on the grass.
I'm ready for this brand. I'm ready to see it completely overhauled. I love Aaron Glenn. I just want him to be able to cook. So are we already seeing a new brand of Jets this offseason?
Yeah, we're seeing a new brand, Colleen. And I've said this before. Every team is a reflection of their head coach. Well, guess where Aaron Glenn came from? He came from Detroit. Which has one of the best, most influential, most inspirational head coaches in Dan Campbell. And I like what Aaron Glenn is doing with the New York Jets. I played with Aaron Glenn when I was in New Orleans from 2017 to 2019. Let me tell you something about Aaron Glenn. This guy is somebody who means what he says and he says what he means. He works with accountability. He works with integrity. And the thing that I loved about Aaron Glenn was this. He demanded the very best out of his best players. When we drafted Marshawn Lattimore to the New Orleans Saints, he had one of the best careers as a DB that you could have the first 3-4 years of his career. His coach was Aaron Glenn. We had Marshawn Lattimore, we had Von Bell, we had all of these guys, but Aaron Glenn required the most out of his best guys. And that is what you're going to see with Aaron Glenn as a head coach of the New York Jets. He's bringing guys over that have the same type of characteristics, that love the game of football. Because if you take that, it's like Play-Doh. You put it together, you can work with that to make it to what you want to do. Because they're trying to push this thing in the same direction that he's trying to push it. So I know that, Chase, you're excited about this. How do you feel about where the Jets are heading? Yeah,
man, Ty, to your point, you're absolutely spot on about a team taking the personality of their head coach. And just like you said, Aaron Glenn came from the Detroit Lions. That was probably the best culture flip that we've seen in the last 10 years, right? What Dan Campbell did over there, it looks like he's taking a page out of the Dan Campbell book. I love AG. He's resilient. You talk about resiliency. Can we pull up this clip of my man in the rain game, calling plays, locked in, ready to go? And you talk about just demanding the best from his players, and he's going to give them his absolute best. More importantly, though, I love how he built his coaching style. He built his coaching staff from the inside out, leader of men, starting with Steve Wilks. I had the pleasure of having Steve Wilks as our head coach in the Arizona Cardinals in 2018. I know what y'all are thinking. We were a bad football team. Knowing what I know now, that roster, we didn't have a shot anyway. But one thing that Steve Wilks did do well was he was a leader of men, and he always had guys continually fighting to the very end. And then with Banjo's my OG that I played. Chris Banjo, yeah. Shout out to Banjo. Great guy. He's their special teams coach. I believe that they have a coaching staff that's going to bring these guys in. You know, AG's a former player, as you know, and we all know that as a player in the locker room, when you can relate and you know your coach can relate to the things they're asking you to do on the football field, it's a much easier job to actually go out there and fight and scratch and claw for them.
Chase, Steve Wilks was infamously fired after just one season in Arizona. How did you feel about how all that went down?
I felt like, hindsight being 2020, you know, you're a rookie, so I don't really know what I don't know. I felt like, though, we really did not have a chance to succeed with that team at all, especially offensively. We didn't have much talent. We were just a bad football team in general. And what I think about when you have a bad football team in the NFL, if the team continually plays hard for them, for the coach, it says something about the type of man that you have leading the team.
Mm-hmm. I like it, and I respect that. That was just a big conversation point at the time. There were a lot of people really emotional about it. You give a guy 1 year and he's gone, and the fact that you brought it up, I want to get your thoughts on it. The Jets were a bad team last year. They were 5-12, and they had the quarterback who started every single game for them. I listened to Aaron Glenn say, you know, we're going to be tough and physical. And, you know, last segment we were talking about Ben Johnson of the Bears saying there is no depth chart. I kind of file those under the same things. It's things every coaches say. It's you get the interview about who are you going to be. Every coach wants to be tough and physical and all. I've heard a lot of coaches say, I've heard a lot of Jets coaches say that. I heard Robert Saleh say that, Adam Gase, Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan. Like, we can keep going. There's been a lot of Jets coaches who've shown up and said, we're going to be tough and physical. I actually don't take a lot from that soundbite. I'm still looking at Aaron Glenn and the alleged story of Rodgers flying in his private jet across the country to sit down with him, and 25 seconds in, Aaron Glenn said, we're going in a different direction. That, to me, that's a different culture. If you want a new brand, don't tell me you're going to be physical. The 32 teams are going to be physical. But to look at Rodgers across the desk, if the story went how Rodgers said it did, and said, no, we're going in a different direction. And when Rodgers says, well, you don't even know me, Glenn says back, well, you don't know me. That sounds like something different. Good yet? I don't know. But at least very, very different from last year's Jets and the year before. So they can be as physical or say they're going to be as physical as they want. It's about actual changes in directions, and there is no bigger one than the meeting he had with Rodgers.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Glenn, I actually had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with him at the Combine, and just his intentionality, if that is even a word. He is so intentional and strategic with the moves that he makes, but he's so kind, too, and he really cares about the job and his players and the people that he surrounds his players with. That coaching staff was built with just the way that he makes these decisions and these moves, and he works so hard. He's a grinder. He's a dog, and I just think that with him running things, if they allow him to do what he wants to do, that culture absolutely will be turned around, because even after one conversation with him, I could feel what he brings to an entire organization. A room lights up with him.
Yeah, he brings exactly all of those things that you said, Colleen. But to Chase's point, he brings experience, guys. Like, there's something about a player when you're being coached by a coach that has played in this league. He knows the demands of being a national football player. He knows the scheduling. He knows the timing. Not only that, but he knows when there's those hot days in training camp when you've been going for 2.5 hours. He knows what you need to do and what he can require out of you to bring the very, very best out of you. That's the difference. We've seen it so many times with Dan Campbell in his speech. Like, you just got to trust me, guys. I know what I'm doing. We're going to go live. We're going to go live right here, but trust me, this is going to equate to the wins. Now, look at where the Detroit Lions are now. Aaron Glenn is the same type of guy. Look at the joy at which he plays. Look what the enthusiasm is at which he plays with. Again, guys, Aaron Glenn is somebody that, as a player, you would love to play for. I love to play for him. And going back to KB's point about his meeting with Aaron Rodgers, I think the best thing about it was he said, listen, this is the Aaron Glenn way. I'm going to do it my way. And I don't want anybody getting in the middle of that or being a distraction to that, because he said in that interview, KB, he said, I don't want, when I say something, that half of the locker room turns to Aaron Rodgers and asks, hey, what are you going to say about it? You don't want that. And Aaron Glenn said, in 20 minutes, we ain't going to have that, or 20 seconds, whatever it was. And I think Aaron Glenn is going to have a lot of success over there if he continues to stay on that trajectory of, hey, this is my way. This is how we're going to do things. New segment called Chase and Point. We already know KB's favorite running back is Cam Scatterbull, but in Chase and Point, Chase is going to identify some running backs that he likes and some of the comps that he has along with him. So, Chase, take it away. Who do we have first on your list?
I appreciate it, my brother, and I want to give you guys just a disclaimer first, okay? When we give these comps, Chase and Point, I'm not giving you no fantasy advice. I'm not telling you that these guys are going to be coming in here playing exactly with that career trajectory of who I am. All I'm telling you is what my eyes see and who these fellas remind me of. Let's get started with the top dog. Let's go. Let's go. Ashton Jeanty, obviously going to the silver and black to the Raiders. I understand Raiders fans, it's easy to see him how he's bouncing off tackles. He's taking runs all the way. I know it probably reminds you of a guy by the name of Beast Mode. I'm going to stay in house, though. Right in this house, give me MJD. Maurice Jones-Drew, the bowling ball, man. He can finish the runs. MJD clocked in at a 4.39 on the floor. Look at that. Running through, helmet off, still running through him. He clocked in at a 4.39 in his 40-yard dash. Ashton Jeanty giving me about the same type of comparison, game style speed, and the way he just runs through tackles and has the contact balance. I thought MJD for sure.
I like that. I like that comp. You know what I liked about Ashton Jeanty, Chase, is this. I've always said this. Speed doesn't kill in the NFL.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But there are certain characteristics about certain players and positions that really distinguishes them from the rest. For a running back, if you watch Ashton Genty, he does not go down on the first hit. He sometimes doesn't even go down on the second hit. So contact balance is, in my opinion, the greatest quality of all the great backs. And I look at Ashton Genty, he has all of that. And we know that Pete Carroll is going to run that ball, so he's going to get a lot of opportunities. All right, Chase, you started off with a bang. I'm interested to see who you have next on your list. Who's number 2?
Bring it up for me. Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. I love the draft selection that he goes to the Los Angeles Chargers. Pair him up with Najee Harris. The way he runs, he's a big man moving, and when he gets moving, he gets grooving. You ain't gonna catch him. I really like the style and play at Jim Harbaugh and their offense. They run a really downhill offense. The guy that he reminds me of with the same exact number in college, Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. I like the Joe Mixon comp. I like it. I think Joe Mixon is one of those guys, especially this past year, Chase. He was a guy that really came alive. His career, the way that they used him for the Houston Texans. He had, you talk about fantasy football. I had him on my fantasy football team for a period of time. He was the number 1 running back in fantasy football. But I know we just played a lot of Omarion Hampton's highlights in college.
Yeah.
But we got some highlights from his 8th grade football team. Roll the clips. Look at this guy.
Man, child.
Who are we watching? Are we watching Derrick Henry? What? Look at this guy just run. He's a man amongst boys. And he showed that when he was in North Carolina. But he was just somebody from a very young age, playing on the playground. Yeah. There's just those cats, when they get the ball on the playground, you're like, hey, bro, this guy's going to be something.
Just different. Parents talking about, hey, why is he playing pop one away? Get him off the field,
Check the guy's birth certificate. So that's 2. That's 2 for now, Chase. Yeah. So Chase and Point, we're at number 3. Tell me who got number 3.
Man. Number 3, give me the 3-down back, Travion Henderson. I love Travion Henderson. I love the pick out of New England. You talk about a guy that comes in day 1, and he's an instant 3-down back, meaning he can run the football, he can catch the football, and most importantly, he can protect Drake May. He's a really stylish, compact guy, very good agility, has a great job finding creases and holes at the line of scrimmage. The guy that I compared him to, Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk. Again, I didn't say he's going to be a Hall of Famer like Marshall Faulk. But he gives me those 3-down back systems. He gives me that Marshall Faulk vibe.
What about his game, Chase? Do you look at him and you say, hey, when I watch this guy play, he reminds me of a Marshall Faulk?
I love his lateral quickness, right? How he can see a hole, get outside of it, get back into it. He's, again, when I keep saying 3-down back, man, Marshall Faulk was really one of the first backs to really start that trend of he can kill you in the pass game, he can kill you in the run game. Travion Henderson also has the explosiveness of Marshall Faulk, and that's why I went with that comparison.
How do you see the Patriots using? Because they do have Ramondre Stevenson there, and Ramondre Stevenson is a really good back for the NFL. Really how do you see, in your opinion, the New England Patriots using both of those really good backs?
To me, it's lightning and thunder, right? And I think that's the perfect situation for Travion Henderson. You don't want to bring him in there and try to make him a bell cow running back. Keep him fresh as a change of pace back. Keep him fresh to really come in and give you those explosive plays. I'll see a lot of screen game usage for him. I'll see a lot of pass game usage for him as well. But look for, I think, the New England Patriots to run a more downhill system with Ramondre Stevenson. And then when Travion Henderson comes in, it's going to be a different type of style. You might see some more zone scheme, some lateral stretch, really use his ability to stretch the field and then get up north and south.
When you talk about change of pace back, we got some clips of Travion Henderson running track. First of all, you see the lane that he's in. He's in lane 5. Okay, if you know anything about track, my knowledge is very limited in track. But if you're in lane 4 or 5, you are touted as a faster guy. So Travion Henderson was in lane 5, and you already know that this guy can move. And we saw that a lot at Ohio State. And according to Chase, I'm assuming we'll see that a lot for New England. All right, Chase, you're out to a hot start, bro. Who we got next?
Got to keep it flowing, man. Give me Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. I love Caleb Johnson's game. You talk about a guy that has just a natural feel for the zone scheme, and he's able to stretch the horizontally. What I mean by that, crowd, is that he stretches the defense. He gets them flowing laterally. Man-tie, you know this. You hate when the back is making you go sideline to sideline. Then he puts his foot in the ground. He gets north and south. He's able to find these lanes in the zone scheme. The guy that I see most in Caleb Johnson actually kind of runs just like him, Arian Foster, who had a stellar career with the Houston Texans.
Arian Foster. When I watch Caleb Johnson run the ball, he also reminds me of a former teammate of mine, Ryan Matthews. When I played for the San Diego Chargers, we had Ryan Matthews as a running back, and it was a guy who was really good, a big running back, right? How do you see him fitting? Because you described it a little bit in the beginning about his ability to go lateral, but the importance of putting his foot in the dirt and getting vertical with Arthur Smith and that stretch scheme that they like to run in Pittsburgh. How do you see that really catering to his abilities in his run game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was in the NFC South, and Arthur Smith, if you watch the Atlanta Falcons play when they did their zone scheme, I mean, their linemen sometimes are stretching 6-7 yards laterally before these backs are making cuts. This system, to me, in my opinion, is a perfect match for Caleb Johnson and what his skill set is. He's a bigger back, too, man. He moves. He's 6'1", 220, and he moves really well for how big he is. I think that he's going to do amazing in the Arthur Smith offensive system.
Okay, that's 4. We saved the best for last. Chase, who's our 5th running back on your list?
Mr. DJ Giddens. And I'll tell you what, DJ, I don't know if you're watching this, brother. I'm a big fan, bro. I remember breaking down some of this film, and I couldn't believe he fell to the 5th round. You talk about a guy with feet. Look, get up, in and out. You talk about feet in the hole, stop on a dime, and just a natural runner when it comes to making people miss. I love DJ Giddens' style. I love the way he runs the football. He gave me the reminder of Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And you will see what I mean. Watch this dead leg, man. He has that dead leg that he does is so subtle. Le'Veon Bell was the same way. He was never really the craziest, fastest guy on the field, but he just knew how to make guys miss, and that's exactly who DJ Giddens reminds me of.
Le'Veon Bell. So I played Le'Veon Bell, and I not only played him in NFL, but I played him in college when he was at Michigan State. Boy was big at
Michigan State, yeah.
But when he went to the NFL, he dropped some pounds, and then he was almost like a revolutionary at the running back position with his ability to kind of be patient. How does that work for a running back? Whether you find a balance between being patient and aggressive. It's almost like linebacker. What do you look at when you see a running back like him and his ability to pick and choose when he explodes through a hole or not?
Absolutely. And what DJ Giddens does so well, it's a saying that we have in the running back room called slow to and fast through. He goes slow to, he approaches the line of scrimmage, he's slow to it, and he explodes fast through the line of scrimmage. Once he finds that crease, once he finds that hole, that's really where you come into the patience. And you can't teach that as a running back, right? You can tell these guys, okay, hey, we think the hole is going to be here. This is the blocking scheme, but you know how it is, bro. It's a fast game. It's chaotic. DJ Giddens has just such natural instincts when it comes to finding the lanes, finding the holes. I think he's going to do a tremendous job being a change of pace back to JT, and I can't wait to see that matchup.
Great job, bro. KB, I know you like Cam.
I love the comps. Great comps. I do love Scatterby, but I love the segment even more. It's great to see Arian Foster up here, one of those kind of long striders, methodical runner in the open field, just churning out yardage. Let's have a little bit of Chase Edmonds information. Who was your favorite running back growing up? Who was the guy you looked up to? So I want to be like,
that's a great question.
I mean, if you guys know where I'm from, and you know I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 717 area code, so I gotta go LaShawn McCoy.
Ooh, okay. Shady.
Shady.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about Shady. A modern-day Barry Sanders. You know, he's like the neighborhood hero where we come. I think he really started the whole 717 trend of guys coming to the NFL. Also, shout out to Marcus Colston. He started that trend as well. But LaShawn McCoy is my favorite running back. I was actually at the game. He broke his ankle in high school.
Oh.
He broke his ankle in high school, and I cried. He was such an idol to me. But LaShawn McCoy, best running back of the 2010s.
Okay, where were you during the snow game when McCoy went wild against the Lions?
I was right at the. What year was that? That must have been.
Pre-2014, so maybe 2013,
so I was in high school.
2012.
I was in high school. I was definitely at the house watching the game. And just to see Shady go in the snow, I mean, you see how fast his feet are moving compared to everybody else's. And that's the epitome of who he is. Mm-hmm. So, Shady, shout out to you, bro. Honestly, I'm trying to get like you on the TV screen too, big dog.